Hi, I'm Selena, and I'm the host of Beyond the Storm. I am really excited today to sit down with Jill Hanlin. Jill and I spoke just about a month ago and just found out that we are actually from the same hometown. So that's kind of exciting to talk to Jill, listen to her story, listen through her struggles of the years that she managed through active addiction, but also the familiarity of some of the same people I know she also knows. So today we're going to welcome Jill. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me,
Yeah,
Selena.
absolutely. So when we first sat down and talked, you told me a little bit about, you have issues with your son. You had some issues with yourself. So I don't want to put any story in front of everybody. I want you to share that story.
Um, okay, so uh, s- I can start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So average middle class family home. I'm the oldest of two. My brother's 5 years younger than I am. Um, my dad was a basketball coach, very dedicated to his career because he was dedicated to supporting his family. Um, not a lot of people get to do what they love, and he definitely did. He's still doing it at 84 years old.
Wow.
Anyway, um, and then my mother, um, you know, it my mom learned from her mother how to not be a very good human being.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And with that, she struggled with her own mental health issues, addiction, alcoholism, and as far back as I can remember, and I just learned this term recently, uh, parentification was put in place. Me being the parent, um, me being the wife to my dad without anything sexual. It wasn't
Right.
weird, and
No,
you
but
don't realize
you
these
end up being
things.
the caretaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the secret keeper and all the things, just keeping peace at home. But being the one that was just holding it all in, being the one that was struggling, being the one that was uh, not able to be a child.
Right.
So, fast forward, a lot of um, abuse at the hand of the hand of the mouth of my mother. A lot of it was targeted at me, and after doing research and reading lots of books, I came to realize that she was jealous of me, and that's just kind of a um
The
and
twisted tangle of that
mhm,
relationship. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, fast forward and there I could tell you all the traumatic experiences that happened, but the one that kind of the camel that the straw that broke the camel's back
Mm-hmm.
was I got pregnant right after I graduated from high school. My high school sweetheart. And one fact. My mom was a devout Catholic, and she used it in an abusive way.
Mm-hmm.
My dad converted when they got married. So, this is a Catholic family.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am pregnant. Well, so my dad struggled with his religion and his reputation.
Sure. Absolutely.
And so the reputation to him won out. He sent my mom and I to Planned Parenthood. And through some conversations that I had with people that worked there, I decided that was not what I was going to do. And so um, I went ahead with the pregnancy. And, but yet didn't have a mom that I could confer and confide in. And, it was just kind of basically me doing it on my own and trying to figure things out. And um, I was about 36 weeks pregnant and going in every week at this point. And my mom happened to see me getting dressed, and she did say, "Are you still wearing the same jeans? You don't have maternity jeans?" No. Anyway, um, went to the doctor's appointment, and everything just kind of snowballed from there. Anyway, my baby was born without kidneys or renal tissue.
Mm.
And due to that fact, his lungs didn't develop because there was not any amniotic fluid.
Oh my.
Um, and it was, of course, devastating in every way, shape, and form. It
Yes.
also was very, very difficult on my dad. Surprisingly, he was just as heartbroken as I was. My mom, on the
Probably
other
felt
hand,
some guilt.
yeah.
Probably felt a lot of guilt
Hmm.
that it was unwanted to begin with, and then, birth defect.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. So he lived for 13 hours. Um, me holding him, so he lived 13 hours on love. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom's reaction was that I deserved it
I'm
because
sorry.
I would have been a terrible mother anyway. So
Yeah.
um, that I didn't take it very well,
Sure.
and sent me into a tailspin of psychosis and suicide ideations, thoughts. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I ended up going back to my employer 3 weeks postpartum, and she was like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And I wasn't really in my right mind. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And the only thing that I could say to her was, "If I leave here, I will drive off a bridge." So
Yeah.
she
Well, you
put
were
me in her
you were
car.
trying to put normal back
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
If you figured if you could step forward and take those steps,
Mhm.
and even at that age, there's no way of understanding. We just know this natural feeling of the gravitational pull of trying to be normal
Mhm.
and walk into normal. Maybe normal will happen,
Mhm.
but it
Mhm.
doesn't sound like that.
Right. So, she took me straight to research psych where I spent the next 3 weeks. And during that 3 weeks, of course, my outside world that wasn't in the psych world was also falling apart. My boyfriend cheated on me and had started seeing her. So, I mean, like all these things, and my life is just crumbling in front of me.
Yeah.
So I get out and I can tell you who it was, but I can't. I mean, I can tell you. I mean, I remember the situation. I remember the people that were there, but the best part about it was somebody was nice enough to introduce me to cocaine,
Yeah.
and that made it all go away.
Yeah.
I found my escape. I found my escape,
Yeah.
and pretty much for the next 25 plus years of my life, stimulants were my escape. It was cocaine, and then it was crack, and then it was meth, and and the rest is history with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, abusive relationships. I mean, uh, I I'll pick the worst guy in the whole entire room to take care of. Oh, you don't have
Right.
a job, you don't have a car,
Yeah.
you have nothing. Oh, come be with me.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I call that having a bad picker.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
Definitely picker was broke.
Yeah.
And so after I'll about my I'll tell you my kids because they're the most important
Sure.
people in my life. Then my grandkids. My oldest son, the high school sweetheart, and we got back together. Started doing lots of cocaine, and I had stopped having a period, and I just constituted it to my cocaine use because it was very extensive.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was selling a lot, so then I was doing mine for free. So you know how it goes.
You're right.
You don't even know how much you're doing.
Right.
Um, and then one morning I woke up and got sick, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! This is an all too familiar feeling."
Mm-hmm.
And so I took that cocaine that I had left and I flushed it down the toilet and had lots of Italians calling me wanting their money for a long time.
Right.
Anyway, um, and I had my oldest son, and he was born healthy, and then it was just me and him against the world,
Right.
and I put all of the loss and love that I had for his older brother into him. I mean,
Sure.
I was probably a little bit of an overbearing mother, but I mean, I was gonna prove my mom wrong.
Well, yeah, I think in those kind of scenarios, I'm gonna show them what I needed.
Mhm,
I'm gonna be what I needed.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yes. And, um, so, that's what we did, just me and him for a few years. And, then
Where did the boyfriend, husband, or
oh,
boyfriend?
well, we probably at about 6 months old, we parted ways.
Yep.
I put myself into school, started working at research hospital. He was just off gallivanting, doing whatever he does, got with,
Yeah.
someone that was, pretty secure and steady and tried to whip him into shape too, and, anyway. So, we went our separate ways. He did, he tried to be involved and stuff, but I just was happy being alone, because uh I wasn't putting substances in my body, and I
Right.
was just
Yeah, your world was different.
exactly, it was a different world. Well, then, one day there I am at Walmart, and here comes, the guy that in junior high I was just head over heels for, but he's made changes in his life too. And he's the same guy that I would pick out of the room that,
And
I just picked
yeah,
him up at
another
Walmart.
broken soul.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so there we are. And but it's not the relationship that I thought it was going to be, but I should have known better because,
Right.
I me the caregiver, let me take care of you, take care of you.
Well,
Well,
I don't think you probably worked through anything at that
no.
point. So there was no healing. There was no recognizing those behaviors.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, he came to live with me and my oldest son. And then he would come in late nights out partying, and and then here I am begging for the attention. Why aren't you staying home with me? All of that. And then I realized the truth. Not only was he out drinking, but he was out doing drugs, da, 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 da. And then me and my desperation, you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I'll go back to it so I can be with this man.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's what happened. Shortly thereafter, I got pregnant with my daughter and got clean again. But then the minute that I had her, I got introduced to meth. It was crack for that period of time until I got pregnant with my daughter. And then after I had her, I was introduced to meth. And I can't tell you what specifics and the particulars, but meth changed the game. I mean, I didn't have to use as much. I had the, extended uh um periods of energy. I could get things done. Oh, my house was clean. Oh, it didn't seem to inhibit me in my mind. I was doing all the things, but
Mm-hmm.
I was so absent from my kids. I wasn't
Right.
there. And then the abuse started with him. And then my oldest son would be going to his dad's on the weekends, and he ended up getting married to the girl that was trying to fix him also.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, well, my son is saying things to his dad about Daniel hitting my mom, Daniel
Mm-hmm.
pushing my mom down the stairs, and all of those things. Well,
Well,
and
any young boy would.
yeah,
I mean, that was actually a cry for help to get some help to the situation, I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So, I got a couple of warnings from his dad, and if you don't. And then my daughter was about 6 months old, and all my kids are 4 years apart. And he had him for the weekend. I went to pick him up, and I was met at the door with a process server. And there it was again. I mean, I wasn't losing him like I lost his brother, but I was losing him.
Mm-hmm.
And that therefore just lost myself even more. Um, again, suicidal ideations, but then I have my daughter. I have to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, um, and So initially, I got an attorney, and I was going to fight, and I was going to do all the things, but I couldn't get clean.
Mm.
I couldn't get clean, so I just gave up.
Mm.
And uh, I went to treatment. Okay, so first time I got arrested. It was like in maybe 1998. And I think it was like maybe I had some cocaine or something on me, but they did like a diversion thing. If I didn't
Mm-hmm.
get in trouble again, that they
Go to
wouldn't bring
drug
those
court.
charges up.
Yep.
Yeah, all
Yep.
those things. And so, but that didn't do anything. You slapped me on the hand. Oh, big deal, you know. So, of course, I got in trouble again, and those charges came back up on me.
Now, were those charges before or after you were served?
It was after.
Okay.
After everything just started spiraling.
That was your spiral.
Yeah.
Okay.
After.
So when you say that you weren't able to get clean, were you working a program? Were you trying, or were you just white knuckling it?
Well, I was white knuckling it. I was just trying, you know. I mean, because the attorney that I went to talk to, you know, and my dad for a good period of time, you know, he enabled me. You know, I'd go to jail, he'd get me out.
Yeah.
You know, I need money for this attorney. We got to fight for Zeke. You know, okay, here's the retainer.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean,
Yeah.
it hurts my heart now so bad just because of who my dad is. You know what
Well,
I mean?
in all fairness, as parents, we don't get a manual book on how to manage through active addiction. So enabling for us in the beginning very much looks like taking care of.
Yeah.
So, so there's a whole lot of grace that should be given for parents that don't know what to do other than try to answer the need. And I'm sure that's what he was trying to do.
And you know how history repeats itself,
Right.
which we'll get there.
Right.
Yeah. So, she told me more than once, you're going to need to clean your way. You're going to, you know, and I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So, I gave up. And then I got in trouble. Then I could no longer keep up with my bills. And now I'm homeless with my daughter, living in hotel rooms, and, you know, get arrested, get put on probation.
Where's the boyfriend now? Is he still in the picture?
Now I am trying to stay away from it. I mean, like it's a love-hate thing. You know what I mean? I mean, he'll be with me. I can't stand him. But yeah, I mean, it was just so tumultuous, so unhealthy. And, you know, I was running from him more than I was running to him at this point.
Sure.
And that was literal. I mean, like, he would show up. I'm like, how did you find me? You know what I mean? Well, and then, so then I get put on probation, and I've got this probation officer. I remember his name was Chuck. I can't tell you what his last name was, but he was really cool. So 15 dirty UAs later. Yeah. And so at about 10, he was like, girl, I gotta send you to treatment. You're going to treatment. So went to treatment down in Joplin. Okay, I'm starting, you know, now my head's clear again, you know. And I think I should make it work with him, anyway, my daughter's dad. And so anyway, whatever. Then my treatment's time's up. I go back home. But while I was in treatment, I had to go see the gynecologist and stuff. And then, you know, she's telling, are you planning on having any more kids while she's in between my legs? You know, I'm like, I don't know. I never thought about it. She goes, anyway, well, if you're going to, you should do it within the next couple of years because whatever, my uterus was prolapsed or some stuff. I don't know. So then I'm like, oh, I'm going to go home. I'm going to make it work with him. We're going to have another kid and everything's going to be
Babies
great.
fix everything. No.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I go home, and I think on day one, there we were, we had sex, and I mean, by golly, I got pregnant. And after that one time, then I didn't want anything to do with him anymore. I was like, okay, but I didn't realize what had happened, you know. And so, but I did a few, you know, a couple months later, but I was clean. So okay, I'm just going to do this by myself. And I have my daughter, and I'm getting to see my son only because they have visits set up with my dad. So I'm living at my dad's, so I can see him, but I'm not to go anywhere with him. I mean, there was all kinds of rules around the situation.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so uh I'm pregnant. I'm going to do this, and I can't tell you what catastrophic situation, because I really didn't need a catastrophic situation. It was probably one day my feelings weren't right, and I thought it was a good day to pick up, and I'm still pregnant. So the last 3 months of that pregnancy, I used meth, and I it sent me into labor early. Um, I hadn't been really regular at my visits those last 3 months to the doctor. Anyway, it was a whole, it that was a crazy situation because my mom was, still herself, and I had felt like I wasn't sure that morning if I had peed on myself or if my water broke, I didn't want it to be the second thing, of course, because I'm not prepared at all, and
Right.
all the things. And at the time, I didn't have a car that was running. I mean,
Yeah, bad timing.
bad timing. And my mother. I was staying in the basement. She was upstairs. I mean, she was on one that day. I mean, it was, and so I couldn't confide in her. So I had to call him to come get me, the father. And that was a terrible situation. Anyway, I got up to the doctor's office. She did the little strip, and she was like, "Oh yeah, your water broke, and oh, you're about 8 centimeters. I need to get a wheelchair." And I'm like, "No, I'm at St. Luke's. I can run across the street just as fast as you can get a wheelchair." I mean, he was crowning as I was running across
Oh my
Warnell,
gosh.
and anyway, I mean, pretty much just got delivered right outside of the lobby there. It was a crazy
Oh my
situation,
gosh.
and then I started thinking about oh my gosh, they're going to drug test him. That I was so paranoid. I was so scared. Selena, I can't tell you why they didn't,
Wow.
but they didn't. And that was in 2000.
Wow.
Anyway, so, and here I am, I'm just barely skating by, and I'm on probation. And uh, so he was 6 months old when that conversation that I had with Chuck happened. And he said, "You've had 15 dirty ways. I'm going to lose my job if I don't revoke your probation." And that's going to be my recommendation at this point.
Right.
And I'm going to recommend that you go do 120 treatment in prison and blah, 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 blah. Okay. So now I'm terrified, and I've got the 6-month-old at home, but I haven't really, I mean, I've been using the whole time. So I haven't really been his mother anyway,
Right. Right.
And so I went to do my 120, and
Where'd your children go during that time?
they stayed with my dad.
Oh my goodness.
Their paternal grandparents said at that point that maybe they should look into putting them in foster care. And my dad pretty much said, "Over my dead body, these kids are my family, and I will take care of them." And my mom's health's declining at this point, and I mean, any paper I've ever written about my hero, it's always been about my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Sounds like he's a pretty amazing man.
he is. So, I go to prison, and my youngest is 6 months old, and we really haven't had a maternal bond because of me. And anyway, while I'm gone, another warrant comes out for me for Clay County. So they picked me up when my 120 days was up. And by this time, I have racked up warrants all over the place. All over, I mean, Lee Summit, Blue Springs.
And
Green
what were these
Valley.
warrants for? What types
Just
of?
like all of them, like all the little city stuff
Yeah.
had accumulated because I never went to court because I was
Right.
doing this and doing that and getting high and all the things. Well, so the plan was when I got to Clay County that day, my dad was going to come and bond me out. Well, then the bondsman informs me that I have all these warrants all over the place, and he just isn't going to mess with it. It's too much.
Yeah.
So there I sat. So my 120 turned into 15 months because Clay County sentenced me to 3 years. So I went right back to prison. So after doing 15 months, you'd think maybe had a little wake up call and my head may have popped out of my butt. But I got out, relapsed within the first 4 weeks. And within 6 more months, I'm going right back to prison. So
And
um,
so, what type of charges did you pick up this next time?
the next time it was just parole violations.
Parole, okay.
Uh-huh. So
So you weren't compliant with your parole.
exactly.
Okay.
Once again, can't get clean. No,
Mm-hmm.
and the dirty UAs. So I go to do a 6 month setback. And this time I'm like honest with the IPO. I'm like, if you send me back out to the streets in 6 months, then I'm going to fail again. I'm going to fail. I need I need more time. I need more stability. I need to be accountable a little bit longer. I need, so, now it's Transition Center of Kansas City, but it was way back when the Honor Center,
Yep.
which is in the West Bottoms.
Yep.
So I opted to go there. And how I made through there, I don't know, because I was not completely compliant. I did relapse while I was there, but then pulled it back together and stayed clean the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
so tell me about the Honor Center. Let's dig into that a little bit.
There were men and women there. It was set up. I mean, it looks kind of like a prison. I mean,
right. So the Honor Center, let's dig into that a little bit because I want to explain to my viewers. The Honor Center is a transitional from prison to being out, halfway house type environment. Mm-hmm. And when she describes the West Bottoms, that is kind of an industrial area. Back then, it was more industrial. Now it's more of an artsy area. Mm-hmm. But back then, there really wasn't a whole lot down there other than industrial businesses. Mm-hmm. It's still not in a great area of town, right. But it wasn't a neighborhood setting. Right.
And I went... My gift of communication has also been a curse. I mean, in a sense, because I can talk my way out of a lot of things.
So you're a good manipulator.
I am very good manipulator, but I learn from the best. Mm-hmm. So my mom. Anyway, but so a lot of times I would talk my way out of getting in trouble and things like that. So, for example, and a chameleon too. For example, so in the Honor Center at that time, there were actual correctional officers, mm-hmm. Missouri Department of Correctional Officers working there.
Right.
And you did the strip in, strip out. You searched your bag, to go in and out, and then random UAs. Well, I had relapsed and came in to check in, for the night, and was called to do a UA. Well, the officer that was doing the UA was a female, and she was clearly gay. And so that's what I was. And she took care of the UA. You know what I mean? I mean, like things like that. Yeah. I mean,
do one for me, girl.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, and when I get out of here, we'll go have dinner. We'll go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, when I said I'm not sure how I made it through that, that's how I made it through it. Just manipulating situations and people.
Yeah.
So
trying to figure out a way to survive the system.
Yeah.
I know. I totally understand.
So then, I got out and I was doing good, Selena. I was clean. I was working. I was getting promoted at work.
What were you doing for work?
At that time I was working at a call center. At first I was just, calling. The person calling, and then they promoted me to work in the collections office. So I was making a little bit more money, and it was kind of a different sort of environment because I was more in the office than the call center. So, mm-hmm. But I'd only been there for a few months, and kind of working my way up. Then they mentioned and asked me if I would think about maybe managing the room, the call center room. Anyway, so I mean, I was doing, people were recognizing me for doing something right.
All your efforts were paying off.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it is, it's about this time of the year, hotter than Hades out.
Yep.
And I came home living at my parents again. My mom's health has declined tremendously. After my dad retired, him and my brother got a painting company. They started their own painting company. So, my dad's keeping that afloat after retirement, painting houses. Anyway, and I get off work, I come home, and I mean, like, I throw on I take off my bra, I take off my underwear, I throw on a little thin t-shirt and some boxers. I'm just trying to cool off and, hanging out with the kids and stuff. And there's a knock at the door. And I go to answer it. The people at the door look very familiar. Steve Cook. He was somehow the detective that always ended up in the room with me to ask me all the questions about all the things that I had been involved in, all the times I got arrested. Because anyway, and
Well, he had a history with you.
oh,
So,
well, yeah. And I wouldn't, I mean, I was, he, he, at the time, that was his focus, was the meth and all the the bikers and everything that was surrounding it. And, my answer was always the same. I have nothing to say. Well, and one of the last, I have nothing to say. He said, since we've met, you were the low guy on the totem pole, and I've just watched you work your way up. He was like, it doesn't matter that you have anything to say, because someday it'll all catch up to you, and oh yeah, whatever. Okay, so this hot as Hades day, and I open the front door, and there he is to let me know I've been federally indicted.
Oh, wow.
And
That probably hit you pretty hard.
Oh, real hard, because my kid's dad, the youngest two, while I was in prison doing that 15 or that long stay, that either it was the first time or the second time I was in prison, he got federally indicted, and so he was going through the federal system for his own stuff, but they ended up sentencing him to like 18 years. So yeah, I was terrified. I'm like, oh my gosh, and anyway, so I go through that whole process. And then, they took me to Blue Spring, Independence, and then from Independence the next morning they took me to the federal building downtown, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. This is really happening,
Yeah.
And well, I will say the officers and the detectives that did come pick me up, because they could clearly see my mom was not able to take care of my kids. The one kind thing that they did was wait for my dad to get there. So I will give them that.
Okay.
But so now I'm in the federal courtroom, which is a whole different looking courtroom than the state level courtroom.
Yeah.
And there's the indictment sitting in front of me. And it was.
So you didn't even get a discovery
No.
before then? You literally didn't know what your charges were
until I walked into that courtroom. I didn't know what they were.
Okay.
So it was a 14 count indictment, and my name was in 12 counts. My name was the first one on the indictment, and then I had two males that I had associated with, never really done anything with, that were on there as well. So anyway, but through the process of and that was such a strange situation too. One of my co-defendants was already in custody in the state. So, and then the other co-defendant, he had gotten picked up the same time I did. We saw each other in Blue Springs, then we did the whole little trip together.
So you're trying to figure out who ratted on you?
Well, yeah, you want to know how did this even happen, know? Anyway, he got out on bond that day. I did not. They took me to Osceola to hold me for a week. And then that next week I come back to the federal building, and now we're going to have a bond hearing. Well, I met with, I can't remember if I met with my attorney first, or I met with someone that worked for the federal government, like the U.S. Marshals or something. Anyway, whoever I met, they told me basically, you're not going anywhere because of your criminal history. And did you know that you had another warrant that another warrant just came up in Jackson County for possession of meth? And so the judge is not going to show you any love, you know. And my response was, okay, could somebody please tell my parents they're in the courtroom and have my dad call my job and tell them? You know, I mean, like he'd been communicating with them and
Mhm.
being honest with them. They were really understanding, thank God. And so, I mean, they were like blown away. What, your parents are here and you have a job? And, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was doing the right thing when you people came and got me and ripped
Yeah.
me away from my
Yeah,
life.
that's got to be devastating to have really stepped into your recovery journey
Yeah,
and then get pulled right back in.
right, right. For something, so I mean, the first one on there carried a life sentence, conspiracy to make meth,
Manufacture.
you manufacture. And you know, I'm just and so once I said that, they're like, well, wait a minute. Okay, let me go talk to your parents, and so they went and then they came back and they're like, okay. In the federal system, bond works a little bit differently. You have to have collateral. It's not cash. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have something to put up to. Anyway, so my parents' house.
That's the reason why I just closed my eyes, because I could see that going there.
hmm
Wow.
My parents' house. And then my dad agreed. My dad had to agree to actually bond me out on the new Jackson County charge. So I there we are. Now I'm functioning again, okay? And still clean.
But you got a lot hanging over
I
your
know.
head.
I have a lot hanging over my head. And then one of my brother's friends was struggling with meth and had been, this is my brother's best man in his wedding, blah 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 blah. And all these devastating things are happening to me, but I'm staying clean, you know. Let me go help him. Let me help save him. I'll give you 3 guesses as to what happened, and the first 2 don't count.
Okay, so my son would have called that "gotta go save a thug."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there I am, right back in it. And, I relapsed, but I was high. I mean, the whole thing. I'm taking in fake pee. I'm doing all the things because I was on the color code. I had to call every week, and sometimes my color come up twice a week. But I'm doing it. Well, then he has a shit crazy ex-girlfriend, and she called the people.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so then we know what happens from there. I well, I go into court. It's going to be sentencing, and my attorney finds everything out, and she is pissed.
Oh, I bet.
And she's like, "Do you know what deal I had worked out for you? You weren't even going to prison. You were getting probation and and all these things." And I'm like, "Sorry." And so the judge, bless his little heart, he says, I see a lot of pain in you, and and I know that you don't want this, and I want to give you a chance to go get yourself cleaned up. I'm going to send you to the federal halfway house for a month. Blah 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 blah. So, thank you, and I'm in tears, and I'm just so grateful. And I went to the federal halfway house, probably higher than I had ever been in my whole entire life.
Well, because why not?
Exactly. It's over now.
Right.
And
One last party.
yeah, within 48 hours, I was escaping from the federal halfway house. And it was off and popping. I mean, I ran from there, stole a car. I mean, just all the craziness. Within 72 hours, the U.S. Marshals had done their job and found me. And when I say with every ounce of sincerity, I thanked them. I thanked them.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to face what I knew I was facing, and now here I am back in
Let
front of the
me
judge.
let me ask you. I want to dig into that because some of those same scenarios are similar to Stephen's, where he would just go off wild. We called it. He would just, you know, go out pillaging. And we would be sitting here watching that happen or know about what he's doing and wonder, how does this end? How long does it last until he's harmed himself, harms somebody else, or gets picked up? So when you're in that mindset of, I'm going to run, I'm not going to comply, I'm leaving, I'm going to make a decision to steal a car, I'm going to just keep, screwing up and digging my hole. Where was your mind at during that time? What were you thinking? Did you think you could outrun this? Did you think, I'm just going to run this out until I get caught? Were you thinking, was because to me, we called it, Stephen, get a case of the fuckets. And fuck it, I'm going to go do it.
Yep.
I'm going to go screw up as bad as I can screw up, and then I'll face the consequences. Is that kind of where you were at?
Yeah, kind of. And I never understood why I was doing it. And, I today I have so much self-awareness, and I can really kind of look back at my life, how I lived my childhood, and then how I lived my life in addiction, and no fear. I had no fear. I mean, there was times
Do you
of
think
fear
that's the
when
meth, though? Do you think that's the meth, though?
You know what I think it is? Well, this is kind of what it is somewhat the meth. It is, the meth has a lot to do with it. But then also, I thrived in fear because that was how I lived.
It was the
my whole entire
adrenaline.
life.
It's
Yes,
the
because
adrenaline.
I lived a life
That's so
of fear.
interesting you
How am I
say
going to
that.
come home? Is she going to be, what's her mood going to be? Is she going to take it out on me? I lived my whole entire childhood forced in fear. And so fear is how I thrived. And so, the crazier thing I could do and the more fear I could implement into it, the better off it was.
I'm squirming over here because you're talking like Stephen right now.
Yes. I mean,
we would just stand there and look at him like, and then he would, and I couldn't ever figure it out because I was not somebody who struggled with addiction. I never, but Nina was Stephen's girlfriend after he's passed away. She's got a long sobriety under her belt now. And she's able to say to me, he couldn't function without it. That was like breathing air for him. And that if he didn't have that, he was not living.
Right.
He was miserable without it. And, she was able to try to describe it in a way that I'll never quite get it because it's not my lifestyle. But she did at least break it down to where I could conceive that idea. Yeah. So it sounds like a little of the same.
I remember, as my mom got older, our relationship did get a little bit better. You know what I mean? I mean, not great. I still held resentments, but I remember sitting at the kitchen table. I'd gotten out of prison or something, and I'm just talking to her and about all the craziness, you know. And she was like, okay, so you were in a stolen car and the police got behind you and they turned the lights on. Weren't you terrified? I said, no, not at all. That was just the boost I needed. You know what I mean? She's like, I just can't imagine. I'm like, and I mean, now it's great to have the understanding that I have. And like I said, the self-awareness, because, I mean, I'm sure that does sound crazy. It does sound crazy, but it also, it is what it is.
I'm in the middle of writing a book, and the very first chapter is a high-speed chase in Wyoming. I was on the phone with Stephen. So what you're describing there, I could hear police sirens in the background and Nina screaming in fear in the front seat. And he was cool as a cucumber and telling everybody, shut the fuck up, I got this. And for 57 miles, he led a speed chase while I was on the phone.
Yeah.
And it traumatized me. I've never been the same since then to hear that full thing happen. But what you're describing is the same scenario. No.
Yeah.
It just, I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, now I got sentenced to 24 months in federal prison, and thereof I went. The Con Air thing is real. They parked behind the airport at KCI, and there are U.S. Marshals lined up with rifles, and you walk between them in shackles and handcuffs. It's just like the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so they sent me to Danbury, Connecticut, and so I did get the
So
recommendation.
Danbury is a camp.
Danbury is a camp and a FCI.
Okay.
Actually, Danbury FCI is where, if you've ever seen the movie Blow, and George John goes to prison the first time, that's where it was filmed.
Yeah.
It's one of the it's one of the oldest prisons in the United
And
States.
another podcaster, Ian Bick,
Uh-huh.
spent his time in Danbury.
Okay.
So yeah,
years ago, when it was a men's prison.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I do the RDAP program, I do the drug program, and I'm gonna get this time off and because I got, let's see, if you do the RDAP program, you get 6 months halfway house and something. I can't remember. This was in 2005. So I my mom gets very, very sick. And anyway, I didn't get the time off for doing the RDAP program because I had state time running concurrent. So I had a hold. So that disqualified me for any time off. So I did the entire time.
And what was that time length?
It was, I did a total of 22 months.
Okay.
So I got out in September. So June of that same year in 2005, my mom got really, really sick. And anyway, so now, I mean, like, she's probably going to die. And I'm freaking out. I'm writing letters to my federal judge, to the state. Can somebody lift this detainer? Can I please be, my mom's dying, da 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 da. Anyway, nothing worked. So I thought nothing worked. Anyway, because automatically anybody that does federal time has to go to the halfway house. I mean, like, it doesn't matter if you did your whole time or not. But anyway, so a lot of things happened. I did get to have a final conversation with my mom, and it did.
When you say conversation, did you?
So here's what happened. I'm trying to be mindful of time also, but
you're fine.
So I found out on a Sunday that she was on life support and in a coma. And so I then started praying and had everybody in my wing praying and everybody that I talked to praying. And so, each day I was calling and checking in. On Wednesday, my dad said, okay, she's out of the coma. And then late, I said, well, I'm going to call back this evening. So that evening, he said, well, they're considering moving her to a step down unit. It's still, it's just a step down from ICU, not a regular unit, but you may be able to talk to her then. So then Thursday, I started going to my case manager from work. I worked in plumbing, so I was taking a long trip through the camp to get to the phone to the caseworker's office, because that's who I had to keep using the phone, because I couldn't use, anyway, couldn't use the prison phone because it wouldn't connect. But anyway, finally about 4:00, a nurse answered the phone and said, I'm just getting her situated. Hold on a second. Da, 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 da. And she gets on the phone. And the first thing out of her mouth is, oh, Jilly, it's so good to talk to you. They are giving me the best drugs in here. And I said, well, I'm glad you feel good. That's great, Mom.
Right.
Anyway, and I just laughed it off because that was my mom. And, and we had small talk. And she didn't do much talking. I did. And then she said, oh, Jilly, I just can't wait for you to get home. And I said, let's talk about that. I said, if you're trying to wait till I get home, Mom, don't.
Yeah.
If you're ready to go home and be with Jesus and see your mom and dad and all the things that you've wanted to do for so long, it's okay. I'm letting you go. Oh, Jilly, don't say that. Well, I mean it. And so I love you. I love you too. Bye. And I slept like a baby that night. I slept like a baby. I went to work, hadn't slept all week. Went to work the next morning, and my boss knew what was going on with me. And he said, you can stay here at the shop. You don't need to go do anything. So um, I slept all day in the shop. And I it was about 3:30, and we're getting ready to go to the housing unit, and the chaplain secretary called me, and I went down to the chaplain's office. My mom passed away that night. So,
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you had closure? Do you feel like
well, so the closure came afterward. I mean, I felt like I was glad, I could tell that she was struggling. And
right,
I was really just praying that she, go home,
be
go
peaceful?
peaceful.
Mhm.
Yeah. To
Mhm.
stop fighting. And then after I got out, I started seeing a therapist. And so I had to make multiple trips to the cemetery to get out lots of things that I had to get
Sure.
rid of.
Sure.
But, and that's kind of where I finally got my closure from the resentment and
Mhm.
all the things. And, I mean, she's helped me out a couple times since then. You know, she's still with me,
Yeah.
and so I get out of federal prison, and I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing so good. I buy my own house all by myself with my kids. And I mean, I'm just moving and grooving through life, and
Yeah.
everything's fantastic. And I'm single until I'm not.
Mhm.
Here we go again.
Yep.
So, uh huh. Back in the meth game again after all of this. So, more trips to prison. And I'll just fast forward to the most significant one,
Okay.
my last one. And well, in the mix of things, I got married, and I thought this was it. I was high. I'd known him for 20 years. Oh, this is it. We're gonna live happily ever after doing meth. I don't know. Anyway, that didn't really work out like that. And anyway, so I go to prison for the sixth time. And it's a 120. And my husband is devastated when I leave. I mean, like crying, blubbering, oh my gosh. And so I had no doubt of his love for me. Anyway, I'm going to need Kleenex. So I found out while I was still in prison that there was another woman involved. And also during that time, my son had gotten out of prison. Um, and that didn't last very long. So I feel like now I need to back up. I'll just keep going. I haven't had a chance to talk about my son and all his problems.
Right. You haven't. Finish the part about this time.
Okay. So, so there's another woman involved. I get home, and basically he says she's not leaving. So I went crazy and relapsed that same day.
Mm.
And all kinds of craziness happened after that. I completely lost my mind. I really, really did. Over a man. Well, here it is. I'm like, it's my husband. It's my husband. I've never gotten married. It's my husband. Doesn't that carry weight?
Right.
You know what I mean? And, not giving it too much thought. Well, golly, you were really high on drugs when you made him your husband. Anyway, but, so I, a lot of craziness happened. I burnt down the house, and he knows about it now. Anyway, so
So you didn't get caught for burning the house down?
no, I did not get caught for burning the house down.
Okay.
Anyway, so then there we are. I'm right back where I am comfortable.
Mhm.
High speed police chases, fear comes first. Oh yeah, let me do all this stuff. So I ended up getting arrested in St. Joe, but it was no small feat when I did get arrested, because I don't go down like, oh, put your hands behind your back. Oh no, it's a fight,
Mhm.
and I mean, I've My little 5'3" frame has been beaten up by the police more times than I can count, but it's all because I didn't know how to
You don't
act.
comply.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I managed to rack up more charges in St. Joe. And now I'm going back to prison. This time I'm going to be there for quite a little while. And this is my 7th trip to prison. And I got to Arno. I mean, now, the fog's lifted and now I'm,
Mhm.
and I've got new charges out of somewhere that I don't know anything about. Usually if my charges were in Jackson County, I knew what was going to happen. If they were in Clay County, I knew it was going to happen. But I don't know anything about Buchanan County. And well, they sure they sure let me know about them, because I know I'm probably gonna do about I was on probation out of Johnson County.
Mhm.
uh and my backup was 6 years. So I was going to do 40% of 6 years. And
And they
then
hadn't got you for prior and persistent yet?
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
So, and at this point we're at like 18, 19 felonies. Yeah. So I'm sitting in Arno receiving an orientation where you
Mhm.
first go when you get to prison.
Thank you for clarifying that for the listeners.
And I just had this moment of clarity. It was like, I don't know, it was like maybe my heart opened up and my mind opened up with it. And I thought to myself, the number one thing that just kept playing through my head was, if you died today, who would have a good thing to say? Not even your kids would have a good thing to say. And it just like played through my head about 10 times. And I was like, I need some Jesus. And so I hadn't gotten assigned a room actually. So I was like in the Bay Area, like, where they just throw up cots because we don't have any room for you. And anyway, and so I went to a room that I knew I had a couple friends with. I said, look, can I come in here? Can you guys just give me a minute in here by myself? I really just need to talk to God for a little bit. And they did. And I mean, I hit my knees and I mean, it was almost like with a guttural force. I mean, just all this stuff came out. I mean, all this stuff was just playing, and I was just giving it all to him. I didn't know what else to do. But I mean, this was his timing, not mine.
Had you had a relationship prior
I'd
to
always
this?
known God. I didn't believe my mother's Catholic version of things.
Mhm.
I knew what I knew in my heart, but he never turned his back on me. It was me running from him,
Mhm. Yeah.
And so after I got it all out and I just had a moment, I heard him say audibly in my heart, Proverbs 24:16. I'm not a Bible reader. I've read stories, I can tell you Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and some Psalms and stuff, but that's about it. And I wasn't sure what I heard, but I knew I heard it. But then you're second guessing yourself because
Mhm.
okay, what's reality, what's spiritual, what's how do they merge? And
Mhm.
and I thought about it I just sat there in the peace and like thought about it for a couple minutes. Then I was like, I feel like that's my sign to go get a Bible.
Sure.
So I hopped up, thanked them, and went and found a Bible. And I went straight to Proverbs 24:16. And I was blown away, but I knew my life had completely changed because that verse says, the righteous man falls 7 times only to rise again. And so I knew that I was on a different ride now. I knew that I wasn't going to drive the bus. I drive it and we crash every single time.
Right.
So I'm turning it over. And, I had a lot of the most difficult obstacles that I had while I was incarcerated that time. St. Joe, they sentenced me to 4 years. They did not run a concurrent, so now I had a 10-year sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So they did not show me any love. They showed me what they were about.
Yeah.
And so I was there for 4 years. Like I said, I mean, all the obstacles that could get in your way while you're in prison kind of got in my way. Before, I always kind of had it easy. And short little stints, nothing extensive,
Mm-hmm.
and even when I did the federal time, that was, it was 2 years, but federal time and state time is different.
Totally different.
Yeah. So, I got out, and, I got out in February of 2020, and, I was doing something different. I was going to get out and I was going to go to a transitional living program. I had already been involved with these people before. It was Journey to New Life.
Mm-hmm.
And when they first opened in 2013, I was actually at the Healing House. And so, I went to Journey to New Life to get services there, and they ended up giving me a grant for a year. They paid my rent and my utilities. Well, you can't do that to an addict because I relapsed again, anyway. But so I wrote a heartfelt apology for letting them down. And now you have two women's houses. They had 2 women's houses. So now I was applying to go to one of the houses, and they graciously accepted me. So I went there in February of 20. COVID hit shortly thereafter. And so that was crazy to come out to.
Yeah.
And nobody knows what to do. And now I kind of feel like I'm back in prison, and,
Yeah. Stephen came out in the end of 19.
Yeah.
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 And the world was shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know how to navigate now. No. This can't be it.
I always say Stephen was very poetic in how he said this. He was considered dangerous had he ever walked into a place of business with a mask over his face. But now he was not considered safe if he didn't have a mask on his face.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that he said coming home. The first few times we went in public, he was like, I have to wear this?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
It was very bizarre for coming home from prison during that time period.
Huh. How enlightening. I wish I would have known him.
Yeah.
So I kind of beat feet, I get my ball rolling, and ultimately I end up moving out in May and getting my own place in Grandview. Super, super cute little apartment. Had it decorated so cute. And I was working from home, fielding calls for some temp agency, But about 5 weeks into me getting my apartment and this job, they let me know that they had to let me go because of my background. So then I became a professional interviewer. Every job I got offered in lieu of your background, Never got the job. Till I got a job at Shelter KC because of my background as a women's mentor.
Yeah.
But it was only part-time. So I'm navigating that, and my money's running out, and I'm trying to, but I'm steadfast in what this is that I'm doing. I'm doing something different because I'm not doing it for myself anymore, So then I got my case manager from Journey to New Life called me and asked me if I ever think about coming back there to work. Anyway, it was a struggle for her to make it happen on my end, not hers, because I don't want to give out my apartment. And this is a live-in position that you say is available and all the,
Right. Right.
But the second time the offer came to the table, I was like, you know what? I don't know why I forgot this, but let me pray about it. God sure as heck told me, girl, I am opening a door for you. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So I accepted the job there. I've actually been there ever since. It'll be 5 years in September. And through that time, I was house manager, and then I became the first case manager that they hired without a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am the community engagement manager. And through this, I have been so blessed with more opportunities. Very involved with Empower Missouri and the Clean Slate Bill. That's to get expungements automated.
Mm-hmm.
And, it didn't get voted in this time, but, we're
Keep pushing.
keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also on the board of the Kansas City Recovery Coalition.
Love it.
And that is a great privilege that, I don't deserve this, but I do.
It's the lived experience, though.
It is.
It's
It is.
truly the lived experience, because
Yeah.
you can't, there's no education out there that can prepare you
Mm-mm.
to know, the journey people have taken it through the recovery,
Mhm.
to get to recovery,
Mhm.
the active addiction in the trenches.
Mhm.
There's no education program out there to teach anybody to know how to navigate working with people like
Right.
that.
Right.
Even myself as a mother that have been in those trenches shoulder to shoulder with Stephen, I would never try to take on a position of trying to be a peer to somebody that's in active addiction.
Mhm.
Can I be a peer to a family member?
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can talk about the years that I struggled with different enabling. What is enabling? And the industry, how it has, in many ways, weaponized parents and calling it enabling because nobody knew the parents. Most programs don't include family in their programs and the relationships that those families have.
Mhm.
And you need to make an opportunity for families to be well as the person in active addiction,
Yes.
because it's not a one person in the family issue. It's
No.
an everyone.
Yes.
So with your experience as living so many years in active addiction and the drug drama that
Mhm.
comes with it, because I don't know what else to call it, but
Mhm.
drug drama.
Mhm.
Most people would flinch hearing those, details.
Mhm.
And I know you didn't have time to really dig into them. Not me. I have been on the other side of those details.
Mhm.
But in order for somebody to really genuinely connect with another individual, if that other individual's had just as much drug drama, they get it.
Mhm.
There is this combined lived experience between two individuals that go, I see you.
Mhm.
I know you're hurt.
Mhm.
I know that hurt because I've experienced it.
Mhm.
And when you can make that human connection like that, no education in the world
Yeah.
can replace that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The other things that I have the opportunity to be involved in are so I'm also on the Lived Experience Advisors Kansas City Committee. We are fighting and trying to end homelessness. I have my hand in so many different
You're
things.
about as busy. Well, you're more busy than I am, but I get accused of being really busy with my hands on
Yeah,
stuff.
well, it's all the things that I've experienced that I'm involved in.
Well,
I was homeless. I was, and
you've got a passion for these things.
exactly. And I had a great opportunity that was really, really cool. And I did this a few weeks ago with an organization that kind of accidentally stumbled upon me, and I stumbled upon them. It was a weird happenstance, but nothing
Mhm.
happens in this world by mistake.
Right.
So, somebody from another organization, the executive director, she sponsored me to go to a leadership training put on by the Gamaliel Network, which is a network that covers a lot of states in the country. And that was really cool. I went and did that for a week in Chicago a couple of weeks ago. But it is always so reassuring that God has this trip planned for me.
Right.
And
The doors that are
realizing
opening.
it, yes, and embracing it and being more in tune with those opportunities that, I'm getting blessed with.
Right.
And, I say it all the time, I can so relate to being in the desert to make it to the other side. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, God's plan is, and I, you know, it hurts my heart that I've hurt my children. I have a beautiful relationship with all of them now. Um, I, and I have wonderful grandchildren, you know, and those relationships are beautiful. I wouldn't change anything, although I hate the hurt that I caused them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And all the craziness and all the, you know, destruction and damage that I caused was all for a greater purpose. And, you know, I can't live with regret.
Well,
He took it from me,
right.
you know, and I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. I mean, my world today is just like it's supposed to be.
Right. Live with a lot of what ifs with our relationship with Stephen, and everything that I lived through and survived. I knew that my importance was to survive that, because at some point I would have to share this story. I always knew that. I just wouldn't be able to do it while he was alive. He wouldn't have allowed that. But I knew that in a very short period after he passed, it was okay. You survived this because your job now is to go educate and inform other people that they are not alone.
Yeah.
And that you need to go be the person you needed to be, or you need to go be the person that you needed during those time periods. And so I completely understand that those doors that are opening because you need to be the one walking through those doors. So,
and I do it for the same reason that you do, bringing awareness, you know, and educating people. You know, I mean, addiction can happen to anyone.
And it does. It happens to every walk of life.
Yes,
it absolutely does.
And then the stigma attached too. That's stigma.
I've worked in the professional environment for a lot of years in a field that if they knew all of what I was dealing with at home, I wouldn't even be sitting in those chairs. I worked in an industry that would have said, oh, you can't handle your personal life. We're not going to trust you to handle this. So I lived with the constant fear of my personal life slipping out, and I never could juggle it well. I mean, I was constantly juggling. So as much as you talked about living on that adrenaline and, high-speed chase, I was living with the phone blowing up while I'm sitting here doing public speaking on very safety-sensitive topics, looking at my phone going, great, what jail is he sitting in now? You know, so it was tough to balance those things. And I'm sure on the other end of it, it was probably very tough to balance for you as well. So, well, I'm going to conclude our interview today. I so appreciate Jill sitting down and talking with us. We're actually going to do a part 2. Jill still has a lot more to share with us, but we're going to go ahead and conclude today. She kind of walked us through her journey through active addiction and what that looked like for her personally. A little bit of a view into what her parents probably had to endure, as well as her children. So when we pick back up, Jill's going to share with us information about the experience she had with her children and their experience with her in active addiction, and then as well as a journey through addiction for them. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Selena with Beyond the Storm. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you so much, Selena.
You're welcome.